If you're a business owner running Google Ads, I can almost guarantee that you've asked yourself, how much should I actually be spending on my Google Ads? And if you're just testing the waters with Google Ads by setting a $5 budget, you may as well not be running them at all. How to find your perfect Google Ads budget is what we're going to be diving into today. And if you're tired of guessing or wasting money or seeing zero leads come in, this video is going to walk you through the entire process of how to figure out where your starting point should be for your ads. So trying to run Google Ads on a shoestring budget can be kind of like putting $3 of gas in your car and expecting to make it across the state. You're not going to get very far, and you'll blame the car instead of the gas tank. So let's fix that. First off, what is Google Ads budget really? So your Google Ads budget is the amount of money that you tell Google you're willing to spend each day. Not per month, not per week. Google works on a daily budget. You set that amount right inside the platform. So instead of saying, I'll spend $600 this month, you'd say something like, I want to spend $20 a day. And that's how Google runs it, and that's what we need to work with. If you have a monthly budget in mind, take that number and divide it by 30.4. That's basically the cycle that Google runs on to account for some shorter months and some longer months. You may have also noticed that Google Ads might spend more of your daily budget on certain days and then underspend on other days. If Google thinks it can get you a conversion by spending a little bit more money, then it will do that. Then on the other days, it will underspend so that it averages out over the month to be what your daily budget is. So if you do see Google spending slightly more than your budget on certain days, I wouldn't panic. Okay, so how do you go about finding your daily budget? While we can't know what budget is exactly best for you before running ads, we can do some math to get a good ballpark. So let's hop into a screen share and work through this together. So the first thing you'll want to do is think of a handful of keywords that you want your ads to show up for. And then once you're in the Google Ads platform here, head over to Tools on the left-hand side, and then under Planning, go into Keyword Planner. And then from here, you can go into Discover New Keywords. And those keywords that you thought of, enter them into here. You can put in as many as you like, 2, 3, 4, just to get a general idea of what the average cost per click would be. So for this example, I'm going to say that I'm an automotive repair shop. So we'll go for automotive repair near me and car repair, and I'll just start with those two. The other thing you'll want to do is change out the location. So if you do serve an entire country, by all means, keep it like that. If you are a local service-based business, then I would put your city in here. Or if you only service states, then you can put the state in here. So for here, I'm going to say that my shop is located in San Jose, California. And the reason you want to do this is because the search volume and the average cost per click does change depending on your location. So we just want to make this as accurate as possible. So we'll hit save and then get results. And what this will show us is the average search volume for those keywords, as well as some other keywords that Google thinks is related to our keywords. And then if I scroll over to the right, it also shows the average bid range or cost per click on the low end, as well as the high end. So if I scroll through this a little bit, I can see on the low end that it's usually sitting right around $2, $2.50 on the low side, and then on the high side, anywhere from $7, $8, $7.50. So if I take the average middle range, I would say that the average cost per click for this automotive repair shop in San Jose is probably going to be right around $5. If you live in a smaller town, you may not be able to see as much information as what I just saw. So for example, if I was in Los Gatos, California, which is much smaller in population than San Jose is, then and I scroll down, you'll see that there's a lot of dashes happening with the bid range. And it just doesn't give me as many numbers or as much information as it did when I was in San Jose. And this doesn't mean that searches aren't happening in that area. It's just that Google isn't seeing enough volume of those searches to be able to give you that data. So if you are in a smaller city and you are seeing all of these dashes, if there's a larger city next to you, like in this case, San Jose is pretty close to Los Gatos, then I would use San Jose or that bigger city. If not, then you can go for the full state. At least that will give you a little bit of information to go off of when trying to figure out what your daily budget should be. The next thing you should ask yourself is, how many leads do I want per day? And that's the number that really should drive your daily budget. So let's say you want 1 conversion or lead a day. Now, not every click is going to turn into a conversion. From here, we can do a little bit of math. So let's say your average cost per click is $5. And if we have a 10% conversion rate, that means about 1 in 10 people who click on your ad will actually become a lead or a customer. So if it takes 10 clicks to get 1 lead, then you would take that 10 times it by $5 per click, which means you would need to spend about $50 per day. That would be your daily budget if you want 1 conversion per day. So here's a formula that you can use. So it's 1 divided by your conversion rate and then times that by cost per click. So in the example I just gave, it would be 1 divided by 10% times $5 per cost per click, which is $50 a day. And you can also do a quick Google search and find your industry's average conversion rate, because it does fluctuate industry to industry. And then you can plug that into the formula as well and get a little bit better of a target for your daily budget. So for example, if your industry's average conversion rate is 5%, then using that formula, you would do 1 divided by 5% times your average cost per click. If it is still $5, then that would mean that your average daily spend would be around the $100 mark. Now, here's the part that a lot of people miss. You've got to commit to running these ads. Google needs time to learn. It needs time to figure out who's actually a good fit for your offer and the type of traffic that you want. So don't expect magic overnight. My rule of thumb with my clients is the first 3 months, we're going to be doing a lot of testing. So at least give it 3 months. The data just gets better over time. So the longer you run the campaign, the smarter Google gets and the better your results will be. But if you quit too soon, you'll just never see that payoff. Okay, so let's say your campaign is working and now you want to scale it and increase your budget. Here is the general rule of thumb. Increase your budget slowly. So I would only do about 10 to 15% at a time. And why? Because when you make big jumps in budget, Google might kick your campaign back into learning mode and it can seriously tank your results. You'll often see your cost per click or your cost per lead increases without actually seeing more conversions come through. So instead of getting more leads, you're just paying more for those leads. So by increasing it slowly, the algorithm stays stable and your cost per conversion doesn't skyrocket. And finally, let's talk about what happens if you're underspending. If your budget's too low, you may notice that you barely get any impressions, or no conversions are coming through, or traffic is just trickling in and never really picks up that momentum. And it's not that Google Ads doesn't work, it's just that you haven't given it enough gas to get moving. So now you know how to find your perfect daily budget and why just setting a number without a strategy can backfire. But here's the thing, even with the right budget, sometimes your ads still don't perform like they should. If your Google Ads campaign isn't bringing in leads yet, or you're not sure what's going wrong, don't worry, I've got you. In this video right here, I'll walk you through exactly what to check and how to fix it when your ads just aren't performing. It's the perfect next step after this one, so I'll see you there.